Morning, everybody, and welcome to the very first of 2018's UBS Live. We have been off for about 5 or 6 weeks since last year ended, and I'm super excited to be launching this year straight after my long-haul flight back home from Dubai last night. We arrived home at 11 p.m. and pretty much got up this morning, got my exercise in with Andrea, and had my shower, and I'm ready. Oh my God, it's so hot. We actually froze our butts off in Dubai. You wouldn't believe it. You always think of Dubai as being hot and humid and crazy in that regard, but actually I didn't take enough clothes, so I was like, had this one jacket that I was wearing around the whole time. So just before we get started properly at 9 o'clock, I'm just going to do my share in the couple of groups that we share this into, because I broadcast this on my personal profile. All right, here we go. I can see it here on my other computer, and I'm going to share it into my Ultimate Business Support group. And of course, I just copied. I'm just going to share it across. Hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for the good mornings and hellos and all that sort of stuff. I really had no idea what I was going to talk about this morning until Kitty said, tell us a little bit more about international collaboration and how does that all happen, and how does it come about. So I'm just going to share it into one more group, and then I'm going to get started. So my Author Your Way to Riches group. Okay, cool. And for whoever's watching the recording, I hope you guys are doing well. I know my Dubai clients and new followers are going to be watching this when they get up in the morning, since it's the middle of the night over there. So as Kitty said, Nat, tell us a little bit more about international collaboration and how do you take your business that way, and how does it all come about, right? And by the way, guys, as we're going through, if you have questions or comments or anything, please post them up. I can actually see them on my screen coming up, all of your comments. And that is Kitty's 2018 word collaboration, so your experience would be valuable. Okay. So I've talked about joint ventures before. I've talked about how to work out, who's a good person to collaborate with, who's not. And unfortunately, there's no sort of magic bullet for everybody. But the key here, when I say and talk about joint ventures or doing combined efforts kind of things in business, I always say make sure you build a relationship first, that you don't just jump into something with someone that it just feels good at the time. Yes, I'm all about gut feelings and all of that sort of stuff, but it's not always about just that gut feeling, because initially, people have their best face forward and, they promise a lot of things. But I would say, even if you're super excited about somebody, that you actually test them out on smaller things that you guys can do together before you jump into a whole major collaboration. And a business doesn't go international kind of instantly. It happens because, of a series of events and things that you have done to expand it. So when I think about a business, I think about, good morning, everybody. I think about, it expanding first in your local area, right? When I first started out 7.5 years ago, they said, look out for networking events and just go out networking in your local area. So therefore I started hanging out, and I became a member of 2 networking groups, my local BNI chapter and the local Chamber of Commerce. And I'd turn up there week after week, month after month, as well as I would attend other events. A lot of you guys would know that I attended a lot of stuff, I have this rule of thumb where I attend 2 weeks, two events every week. I'm still like a little bit bleary in my head, so the words are not coming out as they should. So, my rule of thumb has always been, and you guys would know that in my planner, for those of you that use it, I still have that rule that I need to have attended 2 events every week. Well, because by attending 2 events every week, guess what? You meet real people. You meet real people, you have closer conversations. I mean, right now, you and I are having a conversation, but really, I can't feel what you're feeling right now. I can't see you know, whether you're even paying attention to me or you're just kind of popped in for 3 minutes and then you're going to pop off and all that sort of stuff. So in a real life face-to-face events, we have the undivided attention of people who are around us. So I've been a very big person to go and meet people offline. And I believe that is a fast-tracked way to build your business. There's certainly online strategies, email marketing, all that kind of stuff that happens, you know, online. But in reality, not a lot of us in this world are techie savvy and have worked out that part of it. So I always will encourage you to go and be with people, be with them face to face and meet them. So every single one of the collaborations that I have set up, whether it's at a national level or an international level, has happened because I have met that person in real life. Okay, not because we have built a relationship for a long period of time online and all that sort of stuff. It actually has been because we have met in real life and we have decided to commit to a process and tested each other out over a period of time. Adair's just got a question. What documentation do you use to protect yourself and your JV partner? Do you manage any financial aspect of a JV? Okay, so there is obviously joint ventures and collaborations where, you know, it's almost like on a handshake and on trust. For example, Francesca and I, like us, we're like sisters, and we have always been super honest and aligned in terms of where we are financially and all that. And not a lot of really money between each other has exchanged hands. It's more has been a collaboration where we're helping each other out, be exposed to each other's networks and doing events together, and obviously putting equal amount of effort. So you can see when someone is doing too much and another person's doing too little, and it's not actually equal. And we used to do kickback payouts to each other, but we actually stopped that about a year ago because we realized it was just all evening out. So we said, let's just, whatever you get from, you know, sales that I, you know, eventuate from people knowing me and they come to you and vice versa, you know, let's just call it even. And that's how it happened after, you know, the first we've known each other just a bit over 2 years. So after the first about 13 months. With Mustafa in Dubai, of course, we have a proper legal partnership because that's actually not a JV or a collaboration. It's actually a full-blown partnership. And it goes under a certain company, and there is legal paperwork that we have between one another. So that's how we, and the financial aspects are there, are managed. One or the other person needs to be the financial person of the collaboration or the JV. In the past, I have been the person, you know, keeping all the spreadsheets and all of that sort of stuff, and then obviously sending off whatever funds need to be sent off to the other partner. But in my international one, because there's a company over there and an accountant who does all the bookkeeping, they are in charge of all of that, and I just get dispersed, obviously, profits and paid for any expenses that I incur along the journey. So that's a little bit of an explanation of legality around all of that. Ultimately, of course, we have to, it's about relationships, but of course, it's about also protecting yourself and thinking about, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's, if we totally fall apart, because at the beginning, everything is like a honeymoon period, right? You know, you're excited, you both really like each other, you believe that this will work, it'll be just like a house on fire, but it's not like that in many instances. I have been in a collaboration in the past that lasted for 18 months, whereby I invested a lot of time and invested a certain amount of money to be part of that company, but it eventuated I just basically, after a certain period of time, I didn't feel like I was being rewarded for anything after 18 months of doing and putting in my intellectual property and time, and I wanted to walk away, and at the very least I just wanted to get my minimal investment into what I put into that, and I still didn't get it back, and I just took it as a lesson, never to go under any collaboration that doesn't have a win-win outcome, especially, you know, at the time I was pregnant with my third child, and the person just basically said, look, haven't got any money to pay you whatever you put into this, and and I said I'm just going to walk away and take it as a lesson and not do that ever again, give away my time for nothing, over such a long period of time. So back to the steps to international business expansion. So I believe it does grow. Like, people start to hear about you and talk to other people, or you become more active on social media. Therefore, people are seeing what you're doing. So it's really, really, really important that you put and I guess share what you're doing with within the realm of social media. I mean, this is exactly what we're doing today, because it may not seem like anything is working on social for you in the early days, but it just takes time. If I actually went to show you guys, I print those social books that you can get online every year. It's a bit like album that I keep, because I post so many photos of my life on it. And you could see that from 2008, since I joined Facebook, the first 3 or 4 years fit into just one book. Now I need to get 3 books per year, because there's just so much that happens and that I share and that I've done and all that kind of stuff. So as the time has progressed, in the earlier days, there's crickets. No one's saying anything. No one is, responding, all of that kind of stuff. But people are watching, people are observing, and slowly they'll start to interact, and as you're adding value. In terms of protecting yourself in a JV, what do you suggest to put in place? Kitty, I answered that a little bit earlier with to Adair's question. Where do you get those social books? I think there's ads that come up on Facebook. I think just look up socialbook.com, and your whole Facebook thing for the year can be, it comes up and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, as I said, some JVs you do it on on trust, on this is your role, this is your role. You separate the roles, and then obviously you can see who's doing the work, who's not doing the work, right? And if it doesn't work, you just walk away. But obviously a partnership is a completely different thing to a collaboration or a joint venture. So it just depends how big you foresee something to be, or first you sort of dip your toe in the water and you don't need something too legal. But if it starts to get serious, you want to obviously draw up some rules and some terms and worst case scenario kind of stuff. So back to the expansion kind of stuff. So you're sharing. So as you share what you do, in both value adding way and in a personal way as well, so people can get, as a person, your business can then start to expand at a more, if I say, national and international level. And it just depends where you hang out, right? Because if you went and hung out and you met and built lots of relationships on groups that are based internationally, of course you're going to start to build relationships and start getting opportunities in those kind of places. So it's really, really important that when you decide where you're going to hang out. And as people even interstate start to hear from you, obviously the word of mouth spreads. And one thing I always say, just do what you promise with people. What has really, really worked for me is that I never leave an email unanswered. I never leave a message unanswered. I never leave anyone who's tried to contact me not to return their call. I find in business, though, that happens a lot, where people are not actually responding or responding quickly enough back to our inquiries. Like, literally, I landed back from Dubai last night, and I was at the airport waiting for the luggage to come, and I just put my phone and finally was back on the Australian kind of stuff that has come through, and I had a few voicemails, and straight away, I messaged those people. I said, can I ring you tomorrow morning? We've just flown in from Dubai, and getting back to everything. So I work on the mindset of inbox zero. By the end of the day, a lot of you guys would know that. I always have everything clean on my phone, everything clean in my inboxes, and I know that there's no clutter around me to be able to progress and move forward with my business. So international now. So national, through the power of social media, it's been national, but where we're looking at the international stage, it's again another set of circumstances that are thrown in, you know, the rules of that country, you know, your ability to travel there more frequently if you are going to do that, you know, setting up the relationships on the ground when you're over there, and working out, you know, is this a worthwhile investment of my time and efforts, right? And they're the kind of things, I mean, I've only been doing international stuff for the last 12 months, but they're the kind of things I always ask myself, because realistically, we, Stuart and myself, feel that there's plenty of business in Australia for us. It actually going to the US and going to the UAE and expanding the business internationally was not for us a money-making decision, you know, profit-making decision. Of course, when you go for that amount of effort, you do want to come away with some kind of a reward. But actually, the mindset behind it all was, this is a challenge. This is a new way to stretch myself outside of my comfort zone so that I can you know, see how far I can take this. Or because in Australia we have a really nice you know, rinse and repeat turnkey kind of model, works really well. We have happy customers, we have amazing you know, people that we're surrounded by, the community, all of that is amazing. But then as a human being, you know, we always want to be challenged. We always want to expand and grow and evolve and go, how far can I take this? What else can I do? Do you know what I mean? And good morning. Thanks, Costa. Yes, I'm back home and our first UBS Live. So when you decide to go international, I say don't try to skip too many steps too quickly. Because and I think the universe tends to look after us. It never gives us opportunities or makes us create any decisions that we're not ready for. And sometimes we learn, if we try to jump too many steps too quickly, we learn from that, right? We learn that, oh wow, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe it was a bit too soon. Same as the way I learned. Remember, you guys, told you I licensed my ultimate weight loss business into the 3rd year of being a coach, and that licensing was not was premature. It was it went amazing at the time, but then I learned that there were so many other things missing that I didn't know that I know now, that I could have done to make it better and more successful and not to rush it as much. But that's okay, because now I have held off licensing or franchising Ultimate 48 Hour Author for 4 years. 4 years I've been just working on it purely myself and developing it and taking it international and all that kind of stuff. So when the time comes, if I do plan to do that kind of an expansion, I know all of the things to avoid. So everything in life is kind of a lesson. We learn what to do next time, what to not do next time, and as we go through, we evolve. One thing I'm going to say about international expansion, don't expect your first trip, your first year, you know, into doing this for you to walk away, oh my God, everyone's going to love me in this country and all that kind of stuff. Well, it doesn't happen. It kind of doesn't happen. You know, everyone's skeptical when you're going. I have to say, I believe that we have done way better than what people normally say you should expect. However, still, you know, when I walk into a new country, the 2 countries that we've been into, it's like, you know, you go in front of the audience and yes, they can love you and they can enjoy your personality, but there's still a certain level of skepticism. Who's this person that's coming to our country and says they can do this and this and this? Can I trust them? You know, I mean, you know, we're far away from one another and all that kind of stuff. You're welcome, Kitty. I need to be aware not to rush into JB. Yeah, what we tend to do when we're earlier on in business, you can get overexcited that something is going to just be so amazing that it's going to be the solution to all of our problems. So one thing to look at in terms of joint ventures and collaborations is don't think that they're a magic bullet, right? Because in reality, a joint venture and collaboration needs to be doubly as successful for you to walk away with the outcome that you want if you were to just do it yourself, right? So I'm kind of a big believer, do improve yourself first. when it comes to turning up as a solo business owner. And when you then start getting noticed by other people that you're doing great things in the marketplace and you're a decent person, then other people will want to approach you to collaborate with them and to create these opportunities that can spread you further and bigger and all that. And, you know, being too huge, you know, it's not for everybody. Some people just want to be able to run their own business with their virtual assistant, you know, their partner or whatever it is. So decide in terms of how big you want to go. Stuart and I always have a conversation every 6 to 12 months. You know, are we happy where we're at? Do we want to do any more? How much more do we want to travel? You know, it is very, very taxing on your body, on your routines, of course, on your family and all that kind of stuff. So they're the decisions you have to make. What are you willing to sacrifice to have what you want? And is that exactly what you want? You know, so as I go through, you know, I've really, really enjoyed, if I'm not having fun, I'm basically going to stop doing it. But if I'm enjoying it and having fun and I feel like I'm contributing and adding value and changing other people's lives, of course, I'm going to keep doing it. You know, at some point in time, it's going to stop being about, I'm going to find more clients, we're going to get some more sales, we're going to get the profits up, blah, 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 all that numbers kind of stuff. And of course, you want to be running a viable business. But at some point in time, that's going to stop being the most important thing, because you will have this running like a more well-oiled machine, and other things are going to be the things that are going to challenge you, and you'll want to do better and evolve and expand and challenge yourself in different ways. So my biggest, I guess, advice would be, if you plan to go national and international, do it because you have got the funds to you know, be ready to lose some money on your initial trips. You know, a lot of people get scared, oh, I'm gonna go, there's all this pressure. So if you feel there's gonna be all this pressure on you to perform when you go on your first, on your national trips, on your international trips, then you're gonna be that much more desperate, therefore less things will work for you. But if you feel relaxed and go, look, I'm gonna go, and if this doesn't work, it's okay. It's not gonna be the be all and end all of my life, of my savings, of what I have built so far. So make the decision to do that, because there's also plenty of opportunities and options and business enough for someone at a local scale. Right? If you do the right strategies, there's lots of people. I mean, especially if you're living in Melbourne, which a few of us, I mean, even the major cities around Australia, there's plenty of business out there for everybody. You know, you don't necessarily have to jump into that national and international stage. But if you do want to do it when you're financially able to even say, I'm willing to lose that money, if this doesn't work out, you know, yes, it's not going to feel nice to, take a step backwards, but I'm going to take it as a learning, and then do things differently next time. I have learned so much from my first and second trip in Dubai and US that I know how I'm going to approach them now the next time around, which is so, so important. So, so there are some of my insights. You know, dealing with the cultures in different countries is also super important. Do your research. Work out how people respond, how they like to be sold to, how whether they want follow-up or they don't want follow-up. I mean, there's just so much, such a big discrepancy as to how people respond and go through a sales cycle when you go on an international stage. I'm always prepared to walk away, which reduces the pressure I put on myself with Amy. Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, the one thing I love about what we do here in Australia, when we do our like half-day workshops and we present our offer, and within 48 hours we have this fast mover price that people either they're in or they're out, and then we keep moving on. There's this nice sense of closure, and I don't care how something happens as long as I know, you know, you're in or you're out. Let's keep working together, or look for a different solution if, you know, maybe it's not the right time and all that kind of stuff. So I guess the saying behind that, Amy, is be committed to getting an answer but not attached to what that answer is. So be committed but not attached. And when you walk into every event, and when you walk into any networking situation or thing that you're doing that you are committed to do really, really, really well, but you're not attached to what that outcome is, then you'll just feel better about yourself. Because if you start being attached to outcomes when people are saying no to you, you'll a lot of the time that's taking it personally. Like, what's wrong with me? Why won't people buy from me? And all that kind of stuff, which sometimes can happen. We're not perfect human beings, but just take everything as a lesson and go, okay, well, what didn't I do right? What can be done differently? And so on and so forth. So I'm a big believer. Just go past through, and every no, you're just getting closer to a yes. So what other questions? What other things are you guys possibly curious about international business expansion? Like there is a lot that goes into it. I always say, tread on it, very carefully, work out everything, do your research, try to connect with people there before you go, set up meetings, do your best to get as much done as possible when you are in a certain place. When I go interstate, more so in the past years than say in the last 12 months, I always look for opportunities to do speaking gigs, and around those speaking gigs I would set up my half-day events. So kind of like clustering your activities so you make the most out of your time, because as I said, it requires a lot of time and money and effort to go, just even national, to be away from home and to bring home a result. I'll tell you the story about one of my very early national tours. So because I think this one is super, super important to understand where I'm coming from, not just to observe what is happening right now, because I've done so much testing and measuring and so much, I've got experience under my belt right now. But this is back into my first 6 months of starting nationally. I was going to Adelaide, Perth, Tasmania. There was about 7 or 8 either speaking gigs or all my workshops. I think there was 4 workshops and 3 speaking gigs. And I was like 10 or 11 weeks pregnant with baby number 2, so Mika. Mika's now 6. Gosh, no, it was Zara. I haven't been national 6. It was Zara. So Zara's now 3. So this is, I would say, about almost 4 years ago, coming to 4 years ago. And I had worked so hard. It was around the March period, so exactly coming up to 4 years. I had worked so hard to fill those workshops, because back then I was not using Facebook advertising. I couldn't afford Facebook advertising, or it just wasn't an option that I had, explored. But my business was already at a couple of $100,000 to $250 turnover. And I, I had planned so much, I put my heart and soul into it, because it was just, a lot of, in a short, it was 5 days, 7 events. That's all it was. And I was going to jump on the plane through all these different places and come home. And you can imagine that period also, when you're early pregnancy, you're feeling kind of really yucky and tired and sick, but it's not really visible that you're fully blown pregnant. Well, I reckon I met across the 7 events, probably I think it worked out to be about 140 people. So about, let's say on average, about 20 people per event, sometimes more, sometimes less. And I did my workshops and I did all of that sort of stuff. And I came home after those 5 days having sold nothing. Nothing. 0 conversion, $0, 0, nothing, right? And it was the most, I couldn't believe it. I will, what's wrong with me? Everyone who actually attended all of those events was impressed, was inspired, was everything. Feedback was amazing, but I just didn't have, a business result to show for it. And it was at that time that obviously I seek the support of my third one of my mentor, and out of that sheer pain, we go and look for a solution, and started working with him probably a month later, and he's the one that shifted something. It wasn't actually strategy. it was a little bit of mindset, and when I did certain things when it came to my pitch in my presentation. That was it. That was pretty much, if I can summarize what changed. And subsequently, you know, I didn't give up. I still went on and did another national thing around the May-June period that year. And this was our first year to the 7 figures, because then we also started doing Facebook ads and things like that. So what I'm saying is it can happen that way. And just because you go off into, even nowadays, I can go somewhere to an interstate trip, and I can have 0% conversion. I can come home and go, oh my God, so much effort, so much money on Facebook advertising, da, 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 da. But if you actually document what happens throughout a year, and because I've been keeping a tab on everything since we've been doing paid advertising, you know, and we have a steady conversion rate, and we have steady investment in terms of what we spend per event, per trip, all that kind of stuff, you know, it evens out in the end. Then you have another time, like September last year, where we did $550,000 in sales in 8 days. You know, that kind of a tour was a massive tour, like, you know, an execution. So you just never know, you know, there's never that consistency. As an employed person, you have that consistent level of income that comes in to your life. When you're a business owner, you know, sometimes it can be really dry when it comes to your sales. Certainly, I highly encourage you guys to continuously be training yourself, how to sell better, how to convert better, what works well for your personality, because everyone's personality is different. Someone is a more pushy salesperson, other people are more cool and laid back and gentle, if you like. So just work out what works best for you and keep refining and building onto that, but never stop learning how to be a better salesperson and a marketer, and of course best at delivering what you deliver. All right, I trust all of this it hasn't been very structured today. I didn't give you a list of 6 steps and you know, different things that sometimes are designed for you guys, because as I said, I literally got off the plane 12 hours ago, and in all of that time I managed to unpack, do my personal training, still sleep for 6.5, 7 hours, and today I'm getting ready for an amazing masterclass coming up Wednesday, Thursday this week. So if you are not coming to our Speak for Profit Masterclass, Francesca and I are hosting a 2-day event, which is just $97. I'll post a little link in the comments below. Come along and hang out with us for 2 full days. Amazing information and sharing how to get fully booked as a speaker in 2018 and smash out your goals, and obviously get more bums on seats in rooms and things like that. So that's happening this Wednesday and Thursday in Airport West. We have a ton of people nationally coming in for it. And then Friday starts my national tour here in Australia. So Melbourne, in Brighton, I'm doing my half-day workshop in Brighton, and then we're off to Sydney, Canberra, the following week, then Hobart and everywhere else. So you'll be seeing this little adventure unfold as we go through and start off. But it's admin day for me today. I will be tidying things up and getting ready for the masterclass. And for those of you that I'm seeing you there, see you on Wednesday. Have an awesome week, guys. Smash it out. We're back normal, as per normal, Mondays at 9 a.m. Melbourne time. You know, unless obviously I'm anywhere on traveling, I'll let you know, but I generally post the day before to just remind you that this is happening. It's been awesome to reconnect. And if anyone has watched the recording, and if you have questions and things, just post them up. I do see them and then reply to them later. Bye, guys. Have an awesome morning.